Thanks. Okay, so thanks for the minutes, Ben. So I did have them hidden somewhere. And thanks for the update, Andy, suggestion. I think they look good. Any other comments?
Just get the numbering to be correct. Item number 4 is numbered item 3.
Oh, there's a double
Easy
3.
fix.
That's a easy one. So with that correction, do we have a motion to adopt the minutes?
Yeah, this is Andy. I'll motion to approve these minutes.
A second. I can do that rather than the author. So the minutes are adopted. Thank you, Ben. Let's go back. Where am I? Okay, so we have a new board member, Andrew Comboy. Andrew, welcome. Happy to meet you and formally get to know you better.
Welcome.
But we'll go around and do our own intros so you get to know us, and then you can intro yourself. I've been in the township 22 years, and the environmental board started, I think, around 2008. And so I've been a 2 6-year term with a year break. So yeah, I've just been interested. I work in IT on my work, and been working on the Ready for 100 renewable energy campaign in Montgomery County since 2018. Ben, you want to intro?
Sure. My name is Ben Dietrich. I am been a resident of the township for about 2.5 years and going on a year as a board member of the EAB. And I am a civil and environmental engineer by trade. I recently changed jobs to switched fields in civil engineering. I now deal with water and wastewater treatment, which is something I've done in the past, but I also have experience with stormwater management and erosion and sediment control. Nice to have you with us.
And Andy Kurtronic.
Yeah, welcome, Andrew. Andy Katronic, 14 years, lived in Plymouth. Joined the EAB about this time. Yeah, I think it was August of 2019. So I do believe, by the way, I do believe my term will expire at the end of the year. I just want to look into renewing. So I have aerospace engineering was my original undergraduate career, and stuck with that for actually 20 years. But back in 2015, I went back to school, decided I was interested in changing my career path, and worked on a master's in sustainable engineering. Really the focus of that degree was on renewable and alternate energy sources. And then I did a little dabbling in energy efficiency as well. So completed that degree in 2019. Like I said, that's also when I joined the EAB here. And now I am working as a environmental sustainability and life cycle assessment specialist.
Did you mention the Villanova sustainability degree, or was that?
Yeah, it's my master's in sustainable engineering from Villanova. Yeah.
Thanks. And Lynn?
Andrew, first of all, welcome to the group, and thanks for your willingness to serve the township. That's fantastic. So I've been in the township 25 years, and I am currently the council liaison to the Environmental Advisory Board. So I just started serving the township in January and joined the board shortly thereafter, and looking forward to working with you.
Thanks, Lynn, everyone. Andrew, want to tell us about you?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks everyone for sharing a little bit more about yourselves. I'm happy to be on the board, and I think I've worked with every one of you person, whether planting trees or I've met some of you before. So I'm looking forward to working with you more. And yeah, thank you.
And how long have you been in the township, Andrew?
I've been here pretty much my whole life. I grew up on Belvoir Road and been to Plymouth meeting. And I have a small nonprofit in plants trees in the area. So I'm an arborist, and I work at the Morris Arboretum, where I'm a utility or a urban forestry fellow at the Morris Arboretum.
Nice. Great to have your experience with the trees and canopy here to help us make Plymouth greener.
I don't want to put any pressure on you there, Andrew. I just kind of wonder, so you have obviously the tree planting, and that has become also something, yeah, that the EAB's been involved in and focusing on. I was kind of curious, what else would you kind of hope to get out of the experience here with the EAB? What are you looking at, interested in?
Yeah, I've done a lot with obviously tree planting and that kind of side of environmental movement, I guess. But I'd like to learn more about and be more active in other areas. Like I know we're trying to get this single-use plastic bag ban and those kinds of issues I'd like to get more involved in and just kind of see where I can help out outside of tree planting or, greening of Plymouth.
Cool, thanks.
Thanks. We look forward to your contributions, Andrew. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Let me go back to look at where we are. So we did get a news item posted on the website. And that led to, you just click on it. So this was posted actually under the main page as a news item at the beginning of, here it is, July 21st. So the mailing that went out was this one pager. And this had been mailed in April with the sewer bills, residential sewer bills, to about 5,800 homes. So this was the only real addition. We just updated the date here and then just put this addendum of what's been happening since April. And this was where we have been working with the other municipalities in Southeast PA, talking about single-use bans. There's various municipalities at different stages of either working on it, exploring it, researching it, drafted it. Some have started to present to their community officials. And then we, so that was this recent mailing. And then we came up with a business communication. Nope, that's the same. This is the mailing for businesses that Ben put together. Thank you, Ben. And it's kind of an overview telling the businesses what to expect. And then we're going to have a URL for the feedback form, which I should also bring up. See if I can find it. Okay, this is the feedback form that I guess this. Okay, this is the original communication. I wonder if we should update that to the second communication in July, just so we have the more current copy. So I'll generate a tiny URL for this one, and then
Bill, if you could make a tiny URL for the new one, the business specific one,
yep.
not the July one.
Oh, right. So this will be for the business communication. You're right. Yep. Business communication. Okay, so this is what we're asking. So we get their contact information, what type of business, address, trying to get an idea how many plastic bags they might have or use. And then trying to get an idea of the information that we might want to put on our webpage. So there were two examples of retail offerings of paper bags that Philadelphia and West Goshen had put together. And so we could kind of combine those two in our, but in case they have any other sources, we were looking for answers to that, comments and feedbacks. And would you like to be kept informed? So that's the gist of this survey, or not survey, but feedback form. Any comments, thoughts?
I was just gonna comment that the other URL, the other form that we've had fill out, we've got at least one business owner, operator. There were some other people that did identify as associated with the institution, so didn't call themselves residents. They explicitly called that out. So you haven't gotten much responses from business yet out of the other mailing and information there that was sent out.
Yeah, we could contact that person and let them know about this feedback form if they want to put more information in. So given that everybody's okay with this, at least this draft, I'll generate the tiny URLs for the document and for the feedback form, so they point to each other. Then I'll submit it to Karen Weiss and Kellen Jarrett, who will forward it to the group that can do the printing and mailing to the businesses. So I think we have 1,100, something like 1,100 businesses in Plymouth. And then we can see what feedback we get through September, and maybe go back to council for the October workshop, let them know what we've found by then. And then also by then have another meeting with the Southeast PA Coalition in September, so we can find out how many other townships are ready to go forward this fall. Any other thoughts, feedback on this? So that would be this line here. Oh, and then we do still think we can reach out to apartment tenants. I haven't formally asked for a mailing for that. I guess we could see whether is that July communication maybe reasonable to put in front of apartment residents. So if we mail it to apartment management companies and ask them to either email it directly to their tenants if they have emails, or post it on the bulletin board. I think we could use the same communication from July, the residential communication. I guess I'm not sure.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think the content would be fine. One question, and just wondering as a reminder, is there like a QR code or something on that communication. I'm just thinking if a landlord posts something on a bulletin board, we want to make it easy
Oh, yeah, good idea.
for someone to access it with their phone.
Yep, good idea.
So it could just link to the same document online, or to the survey, I suppose.
Yep. Yep, good idea. Nice. Okay, so yeah, I still have to request that. I haven't sent that off yet. Thought we'd start with the business mailing, get that off, and then, work on the apartment mailing.
Another thought on that too. We'll be sending this communication to the apartments, but might be useful to have an additional brief cover letter asking them what we would like them to do with it, to post it or share it.
Yep,
Just a
Good.
small note.
good idea.
And are we sending it to them electronically or through the mail?
I think we don't have an electronic, I'm not aware that we have an electronic database of contacts in Plymouth. I think everything is physically addressed right now.
Yeah, so if we were just say specifically we'd like them to post it, that would probably make it more likely that they would do that.
Yep. And with the QR code, they could access the electronic document, and if they do have electronic means of informing their tenants, they could do it that way. Yep. Post or email. Good tip. So then we come back to our feedback from the residential survey. So Andy, sorry, you have something you would like to share with us?
I'm on mute. Yeah, give me a second. I didn't have it up to share. I just figured you would since I sent it to you. But give me
Oh,
a minute
sorry,
here.
I could do that.
I'm looking for it. I'll bring it up. All right, I got it up. Let me share. All right, are you able to see this?
Yes, looks,
So this first slide, this is actually from the mid-July update. So this is one we had the 58 total responses. I just left it in here so you could compare. So this is the update then for August. So the only thing I did on this slide was update the numbers. So, flipping back and forth, you can't even barely tell. So this is July, 59 positive, 21% negative. This is August. We had a little bit of a shift, 56 positive, 24 negative. Bill already talked about July again here. There were 58 total responses. August, now we're looking at 102. Continue to go back and forth. 16% provided no discernible pro-con stance back in July, and then 5% indicated a need for more information. Now in August, 17% provided really no clear pro-con stance, and 4%. Really, it's actually the same amount, I think. Maybe there's one more, I forget. But anyway, that want more information. Um, yeah, I think 97% still identified as individuals and non-business associated. 90% identified as residents. So there were other people like who said that they shopped in the township or that they worked in the township and then would do their shopping in the township, I guess after work. And it's still, well, actually more people. So July was 81% asked to be kept informed, and now it's up to 85%. I think that kind of is in line with a little bit in line with the no pro-con stance. I know there were a few people who just filled out that they're interested in staying informed, but not provided really no comments, so they couldn't make any conclusions off of that. So that's just the update of this chart. I didn't kind of go through and try to come up with new quotes to put on the chart or anything, but I have another chart here. And I was joking with Bill that I wish I could figure out some way to turn this into a Family Feud game or something. You could say, what do you think the commenters had against the plastic ban bag, and try to have you guys guess. But that was too technologically advanced for me late in the evening. So I did not do anything with that, but I just, what I did is I went through all the comments. So there was the 24%, right, negative. So it is about 24 commenters, right? We're at 102 total responders. So 24 commenters. So the numbers, the counts here do not add up to 24. Certainly, most commenters provided more than one pro or con reasoning behind it. So I just kind of, as I read through, I started putting ticks next to, capturing some general phrases that captured their thoughts, and then started putting ticks next to them as I kept coming across those in other comments. And, so this was the result. So most people, you see that the most popular response there was that they say they reuse the bags already, that they're not single use. They don't consider, one person I think exactly said, I don't consider them single use, that they make reuse of them. And they're worried about, they use them for, cat litter or dog cleanup and other type things like that, that now they're concerned that they're going to have to go out and buy additional bags, still plastic bags. That's kind of the best for these kind of moist contents that they're talking about, right? Paper, probably not the best. So they're worried that one, they're going to cost them addition. Two, there's actually, they're worried about the additional environmental impact of having to buy those bags rather than getting these other ones without, packaging, etc., that they get just from buying or getting them at the stores. A lot of people did say that, they weren't wild about the ban. They said we need to work on better recycling. I think somewhere in here it also talks about education. I forget if I merged those, but it wanted some more education on recycling in the township. See a lot of people saying they don't see that this will have any benefit. They actually are not citing studies per se, but say they've read that these types of bans actually cause more harm than good. They have environmental detriments, right? I mean, paper, of course, still has a detriment, right? You're chopping down trees and so forth. So there was the concern about the switch to a different bagging material that provides no real environmental benefit. Were a couple people that said this will force their shopping online, or that they'll stop shopping in the township, especially, if it's just the township doing it, right? There were, I don't know if I captured it on here, but there were, I think, about 2 or so respondents who said that it shouldn't be a township issue. There did seem to be kind of a general in favor if it was a county or state level response. So those maybe I captured those as pro individual, but I don't think so. I think I captured it as con because they're saying no at the township. So I don't know if that's on the list here. If somebody sees it, let me know. Or we'll get to it. A lot of the people were saying it's not the right time. There's too much stress. We've got COVID. We've got inflation. They don't want to be dealing with this right now. Several people, and I think there's at least one individual who said that they've actually worked with the township on studies and doing different things for the township, and said this isn't something that really is in the township interest of doing it. There's just better ways that we could be spending our time. So they didn't really say, I guess that's not really necessarily an anti-ban plastic bag ban comment, but just they don't like the study overall. There was the concern about the price of bags that they'd have to buy. I think, maybe I should have merged this. I do see the third from the bottom, the charge fee for plastic bags. And then I think there's another one on here saying that stores forcing customers to buy reusable bags at a high price. So maybe I forget why I had those on separate lines. I think maybe there was a little bit of a different spin that people were putting on them. So, definitely review the comments in detail. But maybe those could be merged and you'd see the addenda put, about 6, I think it is, that are saying price of bags. So that would jump up to the top of the list. Health concerns. I thought that was interesting. I think I've heard that a little bit in the past. I know we only use our reusable bags every few days. So I'm thinking that the bacteria or germs that they'd pick up kind of do have time to die off. But anyway, yeah, people were talking about health concerns with reusable bags, the bacteria, especially, I think a couple people mentioned, you've got meat in there and so forth. And they were thinking, and I think another one did point to COVID situation here and talk about the health concerns. Another cost one, here's the education on recycling. So kind of goes up above with the improved recycling. The interesting comment, the thought that people use the plastic bags as waste receptacles, like in cars and so forth, I think was their point. And so they talked about there actually being more litter because people won't know what to do with this stuff. So yeah, I mean, interesting thought there. Focus on biodegradable bags kind of could put that, well, maybe not with recycling, but a different spin on it. Look at biodegradable bags. There was concern of a couple people that reusable bags eventually will get worn out, and they're even heavier than the single-use plastic bags, and now you've got a bunch of reusable plastic bags in your landfill instead of these smaller ones. So they viewed it as even being more wasteful. Was some concern about hurting business, decreasing profits, although I'll note that neither of those came from a business owner, although as I noted earlier in the call, there was only really one person who definitely identified as a business owner. There were a few that did not identify as just residents, so other associations. Detriment to shopping experience. Basically, they said it would be a hassle, hard to hold things, etc. So yeah, township encourage more reuse a little bit, like recycle, only here they're talking about reusing them. So trying to get everyone on board with the idea of the top one, that I reuse my plastic bags. So more education and encouragement of that. I don't know exactly how we would do that besides education. But anyway, that was a suggestion. There was a concern of that the SNAP or food stamps don't pay for the reusable bags, so that puts those individuals on the spot to have to pay for those. So this could be lumped in with the charge fees for the bags. I actually let me correct myself. I'm remembering now that third one from the bottom, charge a fee for plastic bags. That was not actually a concern about the cost of other types of bags. This was a suggestion rather than banning plastic bags. Why don't you just charge an extra fee for them? It'll make people more conscious of that expense and therefore that maybe steer them away from using single-use plastic bags in favor of some other bagging mechanism. Only one person, see, this was actually where I get into the family feud. I feel like a lot of people would say, I always forget my reusable plastic bag or reusable bags. Only one person mentioned that as an issue. It was kind of interesting. And then there was one person who said that in their view, they have read or heard that, other China, India, I guess, I don't know, other countries. I don't think they named countries, so let me strike that. But they stated that they believe other countries actually had much more plastic pollution, causing much more plastic pollution than the US, and that the US only accounted for a very small amount of that. I won't rebut anything here, but I'm just sharing. And that's all I put together. Again, this was the focus on, what the arguments against it were. Overall, we're still looking at 50, I'm blocking my number here, 54%, is it? Or 56% positive, 56% positive. So only 24% clearly negative. Anyway, that's my summary.
Thanks, Andy. Good overview. And I think if we think of the overall, most people who object to things are going to state it. It's usually the people that are triggered by the impact that they feel strongly enough to talk about it. So I guess if we were going to give this list to council to consider, we need to kind of remind them of the positive interest in doing this, and that it's not all negative, that we should, be leaning towards accommodating the people against it. So I guess the question is how to make sure we keep that perspective as we go through our discussions with others. And do we still feel it's the right thing to do and we want to go forward with it? Has anybody changed their mind? I guess I just want to get temperature here to make sure we're still all together on this.
Just wanted to ask briefly, those concerns on that list. Thank you, Annie, by the way, that was good. I'm sure this kind of stuff has been studied pretty extensively. Are there, does the literature say the stuff like that it's actually worse in some ways for the environment? Or like, did we look at the literature and what the literature is saying? And could we use, if the literature is saying that, no, it's not actually worse, it's better, here's why, could we put that information out there for those who are against single-use plastic ban?
I'll jump in. Let me state that, so I do life cycle assessment, looking at environmental impacts of different products. It's never as easy as really saying one is better for the environment than another. It's always a trade-off, almost always. It's pretty hard to find a product, a formulation or a way of producing something that 100% in every single category actually is better than something else. Unless one of them really has some hugely toxic substance involved or something like that. So, what I think you look at here with the plastics is you probably have less water involved. If you're comparing to paper, it seems, and Andrew, you can jump in here, right? It takes water to grow a tree, and it seems kind of ridiculous that they're penalized for that. But if you have to produce a whole bunch of extra trees that are just used as a crop for producing paper products, then yeah, you can kind of look at that as a detriment. Land occupation is another thing, right? You've got a bunch of fields, and then all that that goes into the production of the paper. And I think you could potentially, some dyes and stuff like that actually can be quite hazardous, pretty potent and stuff. I think they're eliminating most of those, but you could have something like that in paper production that actually is worse. So I don't have a conclusive answer for you. I haven't studied all of them, but I think something that's not looked at in some of those categories is the end of life of plastic, and how it's turning into these microplastics and just pervasive everywhere in our environment now. And paper, it might introduce some substances, not paper itself, but the additives, the colorants or whatever, that are added to that. But the plastic, those microplastics, the way they're getting into our food stream, into everything, I think to me is still really kind of the decisive thing here. I haven't read every study, of course, and I know there's certainly going to be mixed results. I know it's not going to be better in every single category. That I didn't know that from my professional experience. But every top level study policy that I've looked at has really said we need to get rid of single-use plastics. Plastics are in everything. They're in the computers we're working on right now, and so there'll be those very high value plastics that will really add to our lives and our convenience. But single-use plastics that get used and disposed of in matter of minutes and so forth, these things they really need to go according to those kind of very high level policy studies that I've looked at. So I definitely want to address, I'm concerned about those 24% that are really pushing back. And I think we definitely want to look at it. But at the end of the day, I think we need to do what's best for the environment and figure out how we can help out those people that are impacted, or what issues they're bringing up.
Any other comments on the feedback we've received? I think in general, the majority that I've heard, at least in the other townships that are working on this, is that the majority of feedback is that most citizens are for reducing plastics. So I think the pain of transitioning to plastic or without plastic use bags is really just a behavior change. Once it becomes standard way of life, I think everybody gets used to it and it just becomes second nature. So I think it's just change that a lot of people are resistant to. And I think, in terms of the low income or people that feel that that's a financial strain to get reusable bags, we could have a provision of a supply of those maybe at the township building, that if someone didn't feel that they wanted to afford a reasonable bag, we could offer a supply. Maybe we could get a store to donate some. But I don't know that we can come up with a response for every objection to this. I think in general, we hear you. We're interested in your feedback. We still think this is the right thing to do for the overall health and of the environment and our own health in terms of the microplastics, as you mentioned, that gets into the water and our food. So, I think this study is really about us gathering information, preparing council so that when the public meeting occurs, they aren't blindsided, that they've read these feedback comments, they kind of know what people are going to say. They'll have a chance to formulate in their own mind, the way they would respond. But I don't know that we need to make sure that every single objection is answered completely. I guess I want, see whether you guys agree or not. Lynn, what do you think in terms of our approach? Is this moving us in the right direction to help council feel comfortable with supplying them with enough information?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think the more feedback we can gather, the better. I mean, from my perspective, my personal opinion is it's the right thing to do, right? And if we're slightly ahead of the curve in our area, that's not necessarily a terrible thing. I think it makes good sense environmentally. I think it's the right move. It doesn't mean everybody thinks that. And the people who don't think it will make our lives miserable. The 24 or whatever percent will be difficult. So personally, I always try to balance what I think of something versus like what the people I represent think of this thing. So the more feedback we can gather, to your point, Bill, so that we can get in front of some of the comments and also know, it does, just being completely candid, it does concern me a little bit that we've got about half the people in favor, about a quarter vehemently opposed, and another quarter who have yet to state an opinion. So, I would have loved to, I wish we were at 80% who were like, oh my gosh, of course this is the right thing to do. Why did we wait so long? And then we're dealing with sort of the tail end of the curve, of the people we're trying to convince.
And also because of the way this feedback form is structured, we aren't getting a survey of every single resident. So it's naturally going to have a more negative bias because when somebody sees an announcement about a plastic bag ban that raises their alarm bells and say, whoa, I don't want that. And so you're going to get negative comments to a predominance, I would guess, people that are okay with it, just realize, hey, this is the right thing to do. I don't need to make a comment. I'm not going to need to tell the township they're already on track. They've already publicized the problems with plastic bags. They know why we have to get rid of plastic bags. So I don't need to make my voice heard. So I think that's just another aspect of this to, inform the rest of the council is that, we already expected this was going to be a higher negative input than positive input. So I wouldn't take that as a concern necessarily if we, spin it that way or not spin it, but I'm trying to think that the likelihood of people reacting negatively is higher than people reacting positively, or publicizing their comments.
Mhm.
I think you see that on social media, if something negative starts, people that are positive aren't going to necessarily speak up against it.
Yeah. No, I think, I think there's a lot of truth to that, Bill. I think the people who feel strongly about something tend to speak up. And I would say either for positive or negative, but particularly on the negative side. I think people tend to speak up if they feel strongly and not quite as much if they're neutral or resigned to it or in agreement with it, but not feeling strongly. So I do think that's reasonable. But it just would make me comfortable if we continue to do what you've suggested, which is continue to put notices out, make sure if people want to have a voice in this, they have a voice. The absolute worst case scenario for us as a council, I think, is if people feel like we blindsided them with it. So if you had a chance to speak up and you did, great. If you had a chance to speak up and you didn't, that was your choice. But our worst case scenario is people feeling blindsided by it. So the more feedback we get, the more people feel like they had a voice if they wanted one. Then we make a decision from there.
Yeah. Do you happen to know the communication that Teresa crafted for us and that went out in the newsprint? Do you know if that's the same article that's going to go out in the fall newsletter?
It's a good question. I don't know that. I can ask Karen Weiss. That's a reasonable thing to assume, but I don't know that that's the case.
I was just hoping that we were still getting it put in the fall newsletter because then we get more exposure. There were probably a portion of people that maybe noticed the flyer in their sewer bills And, you know, there'll be the business, you know, is that either open their this mailing or not. So we may not get a high response rate. And same thing if we approach the apartment buildings, we may not get in front of everybody's eyeballs. So if it is in the fall newsletter, that's going to be a big boon for us. So yeah, I hope it made it.
That's a good point. I'll ask Karen. Hopefully it did.
Thanks. All right, so we'll keep our eyes on this. I did make a point here that we should talk about, you know, considering a supply of reusable bags for, you know, people that don't want to pay for reusable bags, and maybe keep them at the township. And actually in Narberth, what they came up with was they put out stands or little grab and go, like, you know, you could leave a bag or take a bag. And so it was a kind of a sharing mechanism for people who didn't have a bag with them, could grab one from that service. So, okay, good. Thanks for all the feedback. All right, so we got through this. I just put down here, there's a September coalition meeting, and then we'll try to get on the workshop, October workshop, to present our feedback by that time. We talked last month about asking for some funds for the for a circuit trail, or for starting a trail system within the township. And we ended up sending this request to Karen Weiss to ask the council. I did suggest that we go to the September 6th workshop to discuss this. So I'll follow up with her and see if we can get on their calendar. So the first one was $10,000 for this September's application. I think mid-October this year, it would be a $10,000 match. So we would get $20,000 if it's awarded. And then we could hire a trail planner to help us. And I was thinking the first section from the community center to the mall would be a reasonable starting point. It has a little more visibility and might be of interest to some of those neighbors. And then next year we could see if we can get some more on the budget to be able to start working on more of the plan, and then also work on EV chargers and other projects. So any comments or feedback on that after it's been proposed?
The only comment or feedback, Bill, that I would have is if you are planning to join the council meeting in September, I think the council would want to hear sort of like the big picture, the full plan.
Yep.
So short term, long term. So anything you can do to sort of enlighten council about sort of the big picture and you know, where, when, how would be helpful toward that cause.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks. Good feedback. Then we have our Facebook page.
Bill, just so you know, we're seeing a Plymouth Plastics business feedback
Oh,
form.
I've shared the wrong screen again. Gosh, I do that all the time. Sorry about that.
I heard a nightmare story of it was the first time this group was using Microsoft Teams, and whenever somebody joined, they made them the presenter. And this woman was doing her online shopping at work,
Uh-oh.
for about a minute before somebody finally piped in and said, "Hey, you know, are you going to buy the red dress or the green one?" So
That's a good
anyway,
one.
yeah.
Wow, great. So we did post that article that went into the news item or the press over the plastics and our communication, July communication. So we aren't getting a lot of followers here. We've only got 65 actually on this site. But if you guys want to share or promote yourself, feel free. And then we also have our webpage. So I have to get this updated. I should probably check with Eunice. We've got different pages here. I know I haven't had a chance to review it for a long time. Debbie used to keep her eye on this. So I don't know if we have any interest in revising anything here. I guess maybe Andrew, maybe there's an opportunity here we could put our tree interests, tree planting. Maybe we could add a new page for that information just to help flesh that out.
That would be great. And I can help with that. We've done it on White Marsh Township's website as well, because we work with them to plant trees in White Marsh. So
Nice. And when's the order for the fall planting? Do you know when that is due?
They just came out yesterday with the species. So let me check really quick when they're due. They're due September 16th, so a month from today.
All right, I'll check with Rick and see if what he's thinking about. Do you have a plan for the fall plantings that you're trying to coordinate between different areas?
Yeah, I was hoping to discuss that with you guys and with Rick today, but I'll have to, I guess, get in touch with Rick to see where he was thinking, if he wants to focus on one park or 2 parks again. But I know obviously watering is the limiting factor here. It takes a lot of time and effort to water those twice a week, especially when it's, not raining the whole summer. But so I don't know if Rick wants to do a smaller planting than in the spring, because we'll still have to water those trees we planted in the spring. We'll still have to water them next year, and we don't want to create too much work. But yeah, I think we can still plant maybe 10 trees or something like that this fall.
Do you have I don't recall a fall planting, at least that I've participated in. Would you know about what date that would be?
Yeah, if we get the trees through tree tenders, they will arrive. Let's see, the weekend of November 19th, which is, let's see, November. Yeah, we can pick them up as early as November 16th, but they have to be planted by Monday, November 21st. So it would be that weekend, mostly the 19th and the 20th.
Yep. So, we'll have to touch base with Rick and see what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Any other topics or ideas for tonight?
If it's okay, I just wanted to provide a short update on the spring 2022 trees that a lot of us planted and worked together to plant at Harriet Wetherill and
Sure.
Wood Park. So Karen, who I work with with Colonial Canopy. We both did an assessment of all the new trees we planted this past year, and a bunch in White Marsh as well. But we planted, I think, 20 trees in the spring for in Plymouth parks, and they're all looking great. You know, there was only one tree that never leafed out, and that was at Bicentennial Park. That oak just never leafed out, so didn't survive the transplant. And one of the Kentucky coffee trees at Harriet Wetherill Park struggled to leaf out, and it died at the top but resprouted at the base. So we fenced it in, and we'll let it grow, and we'll shape it into a tree over the next couple of years. So really, it's a testament to how well they were planted by you guys, and also Rick and his staff, and John and Harriet Wetherill are doing a great job of watering these things, you know, through the heat and the drought. So everything's been looking great.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback, because it always helps, I guess, in terms of improving practices, best practices. Each time around, we learn what works and what helps keep them healthy, right? Good. So yeah, we missed Rick this summer. I think he's got some sports going on these nights, but hopefully in the fall we'll start to hear from him. Any other topics before we close?
Yeah, so jumping back to the plastic, single-use plastic ban, I had the action, it was even captured in the notes, thanks a lot, Ben, that I had volunteered to kind of look at kind of mocking up a website for the plastic ban, bag ban information, and so forth for the township website. I haven't done anything with that, I'll report. I did go through your list of sites that you had shared from other municipalities, Bill, and here lies the problem. They're all really good, and they contain a lot of information, and I was a little overwhelmed by it. So I thought this would be like a one-page type, you know, come up with some wording based on those other sites, but actually a lot of them have kind of multiple links you can click on and go to different things with different information and Q&A and everything like that. And some municipalities have really put in a lot of work into these sites, and so it was a little overwhelming. So, you know, I'll keep looking at it, but yeah, it was a little more of an undertaking than I thought it would be. I don't know if anyone else wants to jump in, but
No, I appreciate you're looking at, Andy. I don't expect you to be a web designer for that. Maybe we see whether the existing IT group, Len Hess and his staff, whether, given that there are other examples of other, you know, munis that we could borrow and adopt from, and I don't think we have to necessarily reinvent everything from scratch. You know, if we can reuse information, I think that's great. And how sophisticated should it be? Does it need to be, you know, like I said, an FAQ, a list of alternate bag suppliers, the information on the ordinance, and any you know, repercussions, you know, the fine status, things like that. I think those are probably the main things that need to be covered. And maybe that could all go, you know, with one kind of like page that links to maybe a couple smaller sections. Yeah, I don't know that we necessarily need to be the designer. Sometimes that can get really involved. And Len and his group probably have some, you know, ideas on how to pull that information together. I guess, you know, we could probably just have a set of information that we like and say, yeah, we think we should have this. do we need to rewrite it in our own words so it's
Right.
not seen as plagiarism, or, you know, how inventive do we need to get? You know, I don't know that needs to be that advanced. But yeah, thanks for starting to think about that. I guess we can discuss that with council at the October get together too.
Yeah, well, Bill, I don't know, but as you do know from working on other things like the energy transition plan, copying the so-called plagiarism is a form of flattery, not taken as an insult. So I don't know if anyone would really mind that we're utilizing verbiage from their website or anything in this sense. But to be clear, yes, I'm not writing HTML or anything like that and going to deliver that. I was just trying to look at the content and kind of map out what I think is some good content and what we might want to share on our site.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. So that's probably all we need is the content. You know, what content do we need? Yeah, well, if you're willing to keep looking at that and, you know, just jot down what you think is good or, you know, decent information to include, I think then we can ask the IT group to help pull it together.
Yeah, I can keep looking at it. I don't know what kind of deadline you're looking at for that, but I can keep looking at that. The other thing I was gonna say from today, so I said, I do life cycle assessment. I can look for some life cycle assessment comparing single-use plastic bags to paper bags and reusable bags. I haven't, like I said, I reviewing more of the high level policy type studies and nonprofit groups have put together. So I can look really for an LCA that's done on the subject. I just, from my experience, I mean, it's going to show a mixed picture.
Yeah.
It's going to show that you're just trading between different types of impacts. It won't. Well, most likely it won't include the microplastics and so forth that end up getting into food stream and so forth.
Yeah, I mean,
But I'll see what I can find.
yeah, I mean, I would say if you're interested, I don't know that that's going to be real critical to our, you know, necessarily our decision to go forward or not. But yeah, if that's curious for you. Well, good discussion tonight. Thanks for everybody's input, and Andrew, great having you join us. Appreciate the interest and the offer of help. We'll look forward to further interactions with you.
Likewise, thanks everyone.
And so I think we're pretty complete. Anybody want a motion to close?
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, Ben. And a second from Mr. Saby. So thanks all, and good to see everyone. Enjoy the rest of August. Hopefully it won't get too warm again, although I hear it's coming back a little bit. And we'll look forward to a cooler September.
Sounds great. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Great seeing everyone.
Yeah, good to see you all. Have a great night.
Take care.
Thanks.
See you.
Have a good
Take
night.
care.
Take care.